The night was quiet on the lonely space colony. The human traveler walked slowly through the streets, his boots echoing against the metal floor. Above him, the sky was covered by a huge glass dome, filled with artificial stars. He had seen many planets, many cities, and many alien races, but this place felt colder than most. People here did not smile. They walked fast with heads down as if afraid of something. The traveler had no family, no home, only his ship and his stories. He liked to move from world to world, never staying too long. Tonight he stopped near a marketplace where lights were dim and most shops were closed. He thought he was alone until he heard a small voice. "Excuse me, sir." He turned quickly. A small alien girl stood there. She looked no older than 7 in human years. Her skin was pale blue, and her big silver eyes reflected the weak lights around them. She wore a simple dress torn at the edges, and she held a small piece of paper in her hand. The traveler smiled kindly. "Hello there. What are you doing out so late?" The girl stepped closer. Her voice shook as she spoke. "Please, can I ask you something?" He bent down so his eyes met hers. "Of course." Her hands trembled as she held up the piece of paper. It looked like a handmade invitation written with care. The letters were shaky as if she had written them herself. She whispered the words that froze the traveler's heart. "My mom is so lonely. Can you please be my dad at her birthday party?" The traveler blinked. For a moment he thought he had misheard her. "What did you say?" She looked at him with wide, wet eyes. "Tomorrow is my mom's birthday. She always pretends to be happy, but she is very sad. She has no one. I want her to smile again, so I thought maybe you could be her dad. Just for one night." The human stood silent. No one had ever asked him something like this. He felt a strange pull in his chest, a feeling he had not known for years. He tried to answer carefully. "But I am not your father. I don't even know your mother." The girl bit her lip, trying not to cry. "I know, but you are kind. You smiled at me when nobody else ever does. That is enough." The traveler felt his throat tighten. He had lived a lonely life, but this child's loneliness was deeper, heavier. Why would a little girl ask a stranger such a thing? What kind of world was this where a child had to beg for love? He looked at the paper again. It had little stars drawn on it, uneven but full of effort. In the center it read, "Happy birthday, Mom." The girl whispered again, almost pleading. "Please, she will be so happy. She will think for once that she is not forgotten." The traveler rubbed his face, trying to think. He wanted to say no. He wanted to walk away, but something in those silver eyes stopped him. There was honesty, there was hope, and there was a kind of pain he knew too well. "Why me?" he finally asked. "There must be someone else. Family, friends, neighbors?" She shook her head quickly. "No one. Everyone ignores her. They say she is weak because my father left. In this colony, families must be complete. A mother without a father is shame." Her voice broke. "But I love her. I don't want her to cry on her birthday again." The traveler's chest felt heavy. He realized now why people walked with their heads down here. It was not only fear, it was law. This place did not forgive broken families. A woman left behind was treated as less. He took a deep breath. "Child, if I do this, it may cause trouble. People may not like it." "I don't care," the girl said quickly. "Just for one night. Just one smile. Please." Her small hand reached for his, shaking but brave. The human stared at her hand, then slowly took it. Her fingers were cold but soft. "All right," he said at last. "I will come." Her eyes lit up like stars. She smiled so wide that it broke his heart even more. "Thank you. Thank you, sir. I knew you would say yes." The traveler forced a small smile. "Tell me your name, little one." "My name is Lyra," she said proudly. "And my mom's name is Sora. She will be so happy to meet you." Lyra squeezed his hand tightly, then let go. "Tomorrow night at our home. Please come." She handed him the invitation and ran off into the shadows, her laughter echoing like a fragile song. The traveler stood alone again, holding the paper. He looked at the uneven letters, the childish stars, and the name Sora. Something stirred inside him, a memory of birthdays long ago, when he was a child before he lost his own family. But then a chill ran down his spine. He felt eyes on him. Across the street, hidden in the shadows, a small mechanical drone hovered silently. Its red light blinked once, then disappeared into the night. The traveler clenched the invitation tightly. He suddenly realized this was not a simple birthday request. Something larger, darker, was watching, and tomorrow night he would walk straight into it. The next evening came too quickly. The traveler, holding the small invitation in his pocket, walked through the colony's narrow streets. The metal walls hummed with strange energy, and hidden cameras blinked in the corners. He could not shake the feeling that someone or something was watching him. He stopped outside a small house. Its walls were old, paint peeling, and the lights inside were dim. He hesitated. What if this was a mistake? What if the girl's request brought danger not only to him but also to her family? Yet his feet moved forward. Something about Lyra's eyes, that desperate hope, had tied him to this place. He knocked gently. The door opened just a little. A woman stood there, her face half hidden in shadow. She had the same pale blue skin as Lyra, but her silver eyes were tired, heavy with years of sorrow. Her long hair fell loosely across her shoulders. She looked at him with confusion. "Who are you?" she asked softly. The traveler cleared his throat. "My name is Arik. I met your daughter last night. She invited me." The woman's eyes widened. Then her face turned pale. She pulled the door wider and looked around quickly as if afraid someone might be listening. "She invited you?" she whispered. Lyra ran forward from inside the house, her face glowing with excitement. "Mama, this is him. This is the one I told you about." The woman froze. "Lyra, what did you do?" "She asked me," Arik said carefully, "to come for your birthday." The woman closed her eyes for a moment as if fighting tears. She placed a hand on her daughter's head. "Oh, Lyra, you should not have done this." "But Mama," Lyra whispered, "you are always sad. You never laugh. I thought maybe, if he came, you would be happy." The woman turned to Arik. Her eyes were sharp now, full of warning. "You should leave. If the council discovers this, they will punish us. Outsiders are forbidden from playing family roles. It is against law." Arik felt the weight of her words, but he also felt the little girl's hand tugging at his sleeve. Her eyes were pleading again, just like the night before. "I promised her," Arik said. "I will not walk away now. If you wish, I will go after the celebration. But at least, let her see you smile once." The woman looked at him for a long moment, then sighed. "You humans are strange. Always pushing into dangers that are not yours." She stepped aside. "Come in, but only for tonight." The house was simple, just 2 rooms with a small table decorated with paper flowers. Lyra had worked hard. Drawings of stars and suns were taped to the walls. In the center sat a tiny cake, uneven and leaning to one side, but glowing with a single candle. "It's not much," the woman said quietly, but Lyra insisted on making it special. "It's beautiful," Arik said honestly. They sat together. Lyra bounced with excitement. "Mama, this is your birthday. You have to be happy today." The woman tried to smile, but it was weak. "Lyra, my happiness is seeing you safe." "That is enough," Arik studied her. She was not just tired, she was carrying a deep wound, the kind that never healed. He decided to ask, "Where is your husband?" The woman's face hardened. "Gone. He left when Lyra was still small. The council does not forgive women who are abandoned. To them, a broken family is shame. They call me weak. They call my daughter half-loved." Arik's chest burned with anger. "That is cruel." "That is the law," she replied. Her voice was bitter, but her eyes shone with hidden pain. Lyra suddenly clapped her hands. "Mama, blow the candle!" "Make a wish." The woman looked at the flickering light. Slowly, she leaned forward and blew. The flame vanished. For a second, her face softened. Arik smiled gently. "What did you wish for?" The woman shook her head. "If I tell, it won't come true." But Arik saw it in her eyes. She wished not for riches, not for power, she wished for love. They began to eat the small cake. Lyra giggled, smearing a bit of frosting on her nose. Arik laughed softly, and for the first time, Sora, the mother, laughed too. It was quiet, fragile, but real. The sound filled the little house like sunlight breaking through clouds. Lyra's eyes sparkled. "See, Mama? You laughed. He made you laugh." But just as the moment grew warm, a sharp knock echoed on the door. The laughter died instantly. The woman froze, her face pale again. Arik's muscles tightened. The knock came again, louder. "Open, council inspection." A deep voice barked. Lyra gasped, holding her mother's hand. Sora whispered quickly, her voice shaking. "Hide, they must not see you here." Arik's heart pounded. He knew now. This was more than a simple birthday visit. He had stepped into a forbidden role, and the law was already at the door. The woman's silver eyes met his, full of fear. If they find you, we are finished. The traveler clenched his fists. He had promised a little girl a smile. But now he would have to protect much more than that. The door shook again as fists pounded harder. The voice outside roared, "Open at once or we break it down!" And in that moment, Arik realized this birthday was about to turn into a battle. The pounding on the door grew louder. Dust shook from the ceiling. Lyra clung to her mother's arm, her little body trembling. Arik's heart raced. He had faced many dangers in the galaxy, pirates, storms, even war. But this was different. This was about a lonely child, a broken mother, and a law that hated both. Sora whispered quickly, "You must hide, human. If the council guards see you, they will take Lyra away from me. They will say I am unfit to be her mother." Arik's jaw tightened. "Take her away? For what crime?" "For the crime of being alone," Sora answered bitterly. "A mother without a husband is considered broken. And now if they see you here, they will call it deception. They will punish us both." The door rattled as heavy fists slammed against it. "Last warning, open!" Arik glanced around. There was nowhere safe, just 2 rooms and a single back window. The walls were thin. If he tried to run, they would catch him instantly. He looked at Sora. "Do you trust me?" Her eyes widened, then narrowed. "I do not even know you." "Then decide now," Arik said firmly. "Because if I stay silent, we all lose." She hesitated. The pounding came again, shaking the house. Finally, she nodded. "Do what you must." Arik straightened his back. He walked to the door and pulled it open. 2 tall alien guards stood there. Their armor gleamed under the streetlights and their insect-like faces twisted with suspicion. Behind them, a drone hovered, its red light recording everything. The taller guard hissed. "We heard laughter. Who was here?" Sora stepped forward quickly, bowing her head. "Only me and my daughter, sir." The guard's eyes narrowed. He sniffed the air, then looked past her into the room. His gaze landed on Arik, standing tall in the center. "Who is this?" the guard demanded. Sora froze, her voice caught in her throat. Arik spoke calmly, but his words carried steel. "I am a traveler. I was passing through. The child invited me to join their small celebration. Nothing more." The guard's mandibles clicked. "You admit it, then? You dared to play the role of family in this house." Arik held his ground. "I dared to show kindness." "Is that a crime here?" The guard snarled. "Yes, in this colony, family is sacred law. To pretend is to insult our order." Lyra's voice broke through, small but fierce. "He is not pretending, he is kind." "He made my mom smile." The guards looked shocked. "No child dared to speak to them that way." "Silence, little one," the taller guard growled. "Your words are dangerous." Arik stepped in front of Lyra, shielding her. His voice was low but firm. "You will not speak to her that way." The second guard raised his weapon, a long staff that crackled with blue energy. "Enough, he will come with us. The council will decide his fate." Sora's face went pale. She whispered, "Please do not take him. He is harmless," but the guards did not listen. They grabbed Arik by the arms. Their claws dug into his sleeves, pulling him toward the street. As they dragged him away, Arik's eyes met Sora's. In her gaze, he saw fear, but also something else. A secret. Something she had not yet told him. The guards marched him through the colony streets. Windows lit up as neighbors peeked out, whispering, "The human is being taken. He broke the law. The widow has brought shame again." Arik clenched his teeth. He hated how they looked at Sora and Lyra, as if they were less than alive. Finally, they reached the towering council building. Its black walls rose like a prison, with glowing sigils carved into the stone. Inside, the air was heavy and cold. The guards shoved Arik into a small chamber, locking the door. He sat in silence, his wrists sore from their grip. Through the small window, he saw Sora arrive with Lyra. They had followed. Sora was arguing with the guards outside, her voice desperate. Lyra's face was streaked with tears. Arik pressed his hand against the glass. He could not hear her words, but he could read her lips. She mouthed, "I am sorry. I did not tell you everything." His heart pounded. "Not everything." The door opened suddenly and 2 council members entered. Their robes shimmered with gold threads, their faces expressionless. One of them spoke. "Human, you have broken our law. To pretend as father is forbidden. You will face judgment." Arik stood tall. "I did not pretend. I only accepted a child's invitation to make her mother smile. If that is a crime, then your law is broken." The counselor's eyes narrowed. You dare insult us? Arik's voice grew louder. I dare speak truth, the counselor hissed, but then Sora's voice rang out from outside the chamber. Stop, he is not guilty. The doors opened again and Sora rushed in, dragging Lyra with her. She dropped to her knees before the council. If there is punishment, give it to me. Leave him free. I begged him to stay. I needed him here. Arik stared at her. She was lying to protect him, but why? The counselors looked at each other. Finally, one spoke coldly. The punishment will be decided tomorrow. Until then, the human will remain here. The guards pulled Arik back into the chamber. The door slammed shut. In the silence, Arik replayed Sora's words. I am sorry. I did not tell you everything. What was she hiding? Why did she risk herself for him? He sat in the darkness, holding on to the memory of Lyra's small hand, her desperate eyes. He had come only for a birthday invitation. But now he was tangled in a dangerous secret, one that could cost them all their lives, and he knew tomorrow would not bring mercy. It would bring a trial. The night was long inside the cold chamber. Arik sat against the wall, his thoughts restless. He had faced soldiers, courts, and battles before, but never like this. This was not about politics or war. It was about one mother and her child. And yet it felt heavier than any battle he had fought. At dawn, the guards returned. Their insect-like faces showed no emotion as they opened the heavy door. Come, one hissed. The council waits. Arik walked out, chains on his wrists. Through the corridor, he caught sight of Sora and Lyra. They were kept apart, guarded by 2 soldiers, but Lyra's small hands reached toward him. Don't be afraid, she whispered, her voice trembling. Please don't let them break you. Her words sank deep inside him. He nodded once, forcing a smile. The council chamber was a vast circle, its ceiling high with glowing symbols carved into the stone. 12 counselors sat above him on raised thrones. Their robes shimmered gold, their silver eyes cold and sharp. The lead counselor's voice echoed. Human traveler, you have been accused of breaking sacred law. You pretended to be a father when you are not. In our world, that crime cannot be ignored. Arik lifted his head. His voice was steady. I did not pretend. I did what no one else dared. I showed kindness. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some counselors frowned, others looked uncertain. The lead counselor leaned forward. Kindness is not our law. Strength is our law. Order is our survival. If families break, we break. To heal with lies only weakens us further. Arik clenched his fists. Then your law has no heart. A law without heart is already broken. The guards growled, ready to strike him, but the lead counselor raised a hand. You speak boldly, human, but words mean nothing. Show us what makes your species different. Show us why we should not punish you. Arik's mind raced. Words would not change them. Logic would not move them. But maybe something else could, he asked softly. May I speak to the child? Just once. The counselors looked at each other. Finally, the lead one nodded. Bring her. The doors opened and Lyra was led in. Her silver eyes were wide with fear, but when she saw Arik, her face lit with trust. Arik knelt to her level. Lyra, he said gently, do you remember what I told you last night? That humans bring more than rules. That we bring joy. She nodded quickly. Then let us show them. From his pocket, Arik pulled out something small, an old harmonica. He had carried it for years, a reminder of his own lost childhood. The guards moved to stop him, but the lead counselor raised a hand again. Let him. Arik lifted the harmonica to his lips. Slowly he began to play. The sound was soft at first, trembling in the cold chamber, but then it grew, filling the air with a melody unlike anything the aliens had ever heard. It was not harsh, not strict, it was warm, flowing, alive. The tune carried laughter, sorrow, hope, all woven together. It was the sound of humanity's soul. Lyra's eyes filled with tears, but they were not sad tears. She began to clap her hands, following the rhythm. Then she laughed, a bright, pure laugh that echoed through the hall. Sora, standing at the edge, pressed her hand to her mouth. For the first time in years, she was crying not from pain, but from beauty. The counselors shifted in their seats. Their cold expressions cracked. One whispered, "What is this feeling?" Another said, "It stirs something I have not felt since I was young." Arik finished the song and lowered the harmonica. Silence hung heavy in the chamber, broken only by Lyra's soft laughter. He stood tall and faced the council. "That," he said firmly, "is the gift of my people. We give joy. We give hope. We give love when there is none. Is that truly a crime? The lead counselor's eyes narrowed, but his voice was slower now, less certain. Music, emotion. These are not our ways. They are distractions. Sora stepped forward suddenly, her voice strong. No, they are life. For years I have lived under your law, silent, broken, ashamed. But this human, he gave my daughter a smile. He gave me laughter.
He gave us hope.
And hope is not weakness. It is strength. The chamber filled with whispers. Some counselors looked shaken. Others looked angry. The lead counselor slammed his staff down. Enough. The council will decide at sunset. Until then, the human remains in chains. The guards moved to drag Arik away. But as they did, Lyra broke free and threw her arms around him. No, you can't take him.
He is our light.
Her voice rang across the chamber. The guards froze. Even the counselors looked stunned at the child's boldness. The lead counselor's eyes darkened. Take him away. The guards pulled Arik back, chains rattling. But in his heart he felt no defeat. He had given them something they could not erase. A sound, a laugh, a memory of hope. And he knew as he met Sora's silver eyes that the fight was only beginning. The sun inside the dome began to set, painting the colony in shades of red. The air grew heavy as if the whole world held its breath. Arik sat once again in his cold chamber, the harmonica still warm in his hands. He could hear faint echoes of whispers outside, the guards, the people, even the counselors. His song had spread through the colony like fire, but fire brings both light and danger. As night fell, the guards came again. Their claws clinked against his chains as they dragged him back to the council hall. The great chamber was crowded now. Not only the 12 counselors sat above him, but dozens of citizens had gathered to watch. Their silver eyes shone with curiosity and fear. The lead counselor's voice echoed. The trial ends tonight. The human has been accused of breaking law. But before judgment, let the people see the truth. Arik was forced to stand in the center. Sora and Lyra were brought in as well, surrounded by guards. Lyra's small face was pale, but her eyes locked on Arik with unshaken trust. The lead counselor lifted his staff. You human brought laughter and song into our order. You claim this is strength. We say it is weakness. Now let us test it. The floor shook. From hidden gates, strange machines rolled into the chamber. They were drones, large and armed, their red lights glowing like hungry eyes. Weapons crackled with blue energy. Gasps filled the crowd. Lyra screamed, clinging to her mother. The lead counselor's voice was sharp. If you can protect them with your gift, then prove it. Or else we will end this foolishness now. Arik's heart pounded. He had no weapons, no armor. Only his voice, his courage, and his promise to a child. The drones moved forward, their energy weapons aimed at Sora and Lyra. Stop. Arik shouted, stepping in front of them. His chains rattled, but his stance was firm. If you want to test me, test me. Leave them out of this. The counselor's eyes glowed cold. Family is never separate from judgment. If you truly wish to play father, then stand as one. The machines whirred, charging their weapons. Lyra cried out. Please don't hurt him. Arik closed his eyes. He raised the harmonica again and blew into it with all his strength. The sound rose, louder and clearer than before. It filled every corner of the chamber, piercing through the noise of the machines. The melody was fierce now, not just soft and warm, but strong, unyielding, like a shield made of sound. The drones hesitated. Their lights flickered. The energy in their weapons stuttered. The sound confused them, disrupted their systems. The crowd gasped. He is stopping them. Arik played harder, faster. His song told a story of battles fought and hope never lost. It carried human stubbornness, the refusal to break. One by one, the drones slowed. Their red eyes dimmed. Some dropped to the ground silent. Others retreated back into the shadows. Silence fell. Arik lowered the harmonica, his breath heavy. He turned toward the counselors. That is what humanity gives. We protect not with fear, but with love. Even machines cannot fight it. For a moment, the chamber was still. The people whispered. Even some counselors looked shaken, but the lead counselor's face twisted with rage. Trickery. This is nothing but chaos disguised as strength. He slammed his staff down. Seize him! End this mockery at once. The guards moved forward, weapons drawn. Sora screamed. Lyra rushed out, throwing herself between Arik and the guards. You cannot take him, she cried. Her voice shook the room.
He is my dad now.
Even if just for one night, he is my dad. The hall went silent. Every citizen, every guard froze at the little girl's words. Sora pulled her daughter close, tears shining in her silver eyes. "Enough, Lyra," she whispered, but her voice broke. The lead counselor's rage burned brighter. "Insolence. Child or not, she breaks law." He raised his staff, glowing with deadly energy. Arik's eyes widened. He knew that strike was meant for Sora and Lyra both. Without hesitation, Arik threw himself forward. His chains clattered as he shielded them with his own body. The staff came down with blinding light. Energy crackled against Arik's back. Pain seared through him, but he did not fall. He stood like a wall between the council's wrath and the family behind him. The crowd gasped. "He took it for them." Arik gritted his teeth, sweat dripping down his face. He shouted, voice raw but unbroken, "If love is a crime here, then let me be guilty forever." The people erupted in cries. Some shouted in anger at the council. Others cheered, their voices rising. The order of fear was cracking. The councilors' faces darkened. The lead one roared, "Silence them! Control must not break." But it was too late. The harmony of control had shattered. The birthday, meant to be simple, had turned into a battlefield of hearts. Arik, still standing in pain, looked at Sora and Lyra. Their eyes met his. And in that moment he knew, this fight was no longer about law. It was about something bigger. It was about showing an entire world that love was stronger than fear. And he would not stop, no matter the cost. The chamber was chaos. Voices rose like a storm. Some shouted in anger at Arik, others cried out in support. The order of silence and obedience was broken. For the first time in years, the colony's council lost control of the people's voices. Guards shoved their way through the crowd, trying to restore order. But no matter how loud their staffs crackled with energy, the sound of Lyra's words still echoed through the hall. "He is my dad now." The lead counselor slammed his glowing staff against the floor and the chamber shook. "Silence," he roared, his voice thundering. Slowly, the cries faded. The guards pushed Arik back to the center. He stood wounded, his back still burning from the strike, but he did not bow. The counselor's eyes were cold fire. "You dare defy sacred law. You dare twist a child's heart. Human, tonight we end this insult." Sora's voice broke through, desperate and strong. "No, you cannot call love an insult. You cannot punish kindness. This is not justice, it is cruelty." The lead counselor turned on her. "You, widow, are the cause of this shame. You let a stranger enter your home. You let your daughter be poisoned with weakness. You will share his punishment." Gasps filled the crowd. Lyra screamed, "No! Don't hurt my mama." Arik's fists tightened. He stepped forward, his chains clanging. His voice was iron. "If you want punishment, give it to me. I chose to stay. I chose to protect them, not her. Not the child, me," the counselor sneered. "And why should we? You are nothing. You are not of us. You have no place here." Arik raised his head, his eyes blazing. "Maybe I am nothing to you, but to her I am something. To that child I am everything she needed for one night, and that is worth more than your whole law." The chamber trembled with whispers. Some counselors shifted uneasily. For the first time, cracks showed in their certainty. The lead counselor saw it too. His power was slipping. He could not let the people waver. He had to make an example. "Then so be it," he declared. "The human will be executed at dawn. The widow will be stripped of her child. And the child will be sent to the orphan chambers where she will learn to obey without love." The crowd erupted in horror. Even some guards hesitated. Everyone knew what the orphan chambers were. Cold institutions where children were raised like machines, their emotions crushed, their laughter erased. Lyra fell to her knees, sobbing. "Please, please don't take my mama." Sora's face was pale with terror, but her voice did not shake. "You monsters. You will not take her." "Over my dead body?" The lead counselor's eyes narrowed. "So be it." He raised his staff again, ready to strike Sora down, but before he could, another voice cut through the hall. Enough. It was not Arik, not Sora. It came from one of the other counselors, an older woman with silver hair that glowed faintly under the chamber lights. She rose from her throne, her robes flowing. The lead counselor turned on her. "Counselor Vera, sit down. This is my judgment," but Vera's voice was steady and strong. "No, this is not judgment. This is tyranny," the crowd gasped. Never before had one counselor spoken against another in public. Vera pointed at Arik. "Look at him. Wounded, chained, yet still standing to protect those not his own. That is strength. Not fear, not order, love. And you call it weakness? The hall filled with whispers again. More counselors stirred, doubt spreading like cracks in ice. The lead counselor's face twisted with rage. You dare betray our law? I dare remind us what law is meant for, Vera replied sharply. To protect, not to destroy. To build, not to break. Arik stood tall, though blood dripped down his back. You fear me because I showed your people something you cannot control. A laugh, a song, a bond stronger than fear, the lead counselor snarled. Lies, this human is a poison. He makes you weak. But the people in the crowd began to shout. He saved the child. He made her laugh. He is stronger than any of you. The chamber trembled, not from staffs or machines, but from voices. The power of the people. The lead counselor raised his staff high, his face wild. Then all of you are guilty, and I will burn this weakness out. Blue lightning flared from his staff, arcing toward Arik, Sora, and Lyra. In that instant, Arik did not think. He moved. Chains still bound his wrists, but he threw himself forward, wrapping his arms around Sora and Lyra, shielding them with his body. The lightning struck. Pain ripped through him, blinding and searing. His knees buckled, but he did not fall. He held them close, whispering through clenched teeth, I will not let them take you. The chamber exploded in cries. Some people rushed forward, trying to stop the counselor. Guards hesitated, torn between orders and hearts. And in the middle of it all, Arik stood battered, smoking from the lightning strike, yet unbroken. The lead counselor's face turned pale. For the first time, he looked afraid, because the people had seen it, a human standing against power itself. Not with weapons, not with laws, but with love stronger than pain, and they could no longer be controlled. The chamber was fire and storm. The lead counselor stood with his staff crackling, but his face showed fear for the first time. All around him voices rose, angry, desperate, alive. The people of the colony had broken their silence. Enough of this law, one shouted. He saved the child. Another cried. We will not live without love. The counselors who once sat still now whispered among themselves, shaken. Only the lead one tried to hold on to control. His staff glowed brighter, blue sparks crawling along the stone floor. Arik stood in the center, chains broken, his body scorched from lightning. His chest heaved with pain, yet he did not fall. He held Sora and Lyra close behind him, shielding them like a wall of flesh and will. His voice, though weak, rang clear. You call me guilty. You call them shame. But look around you. Your people have seen the truth. They do not want fear. They want what you tried to kill. Hope, joy, love, the lead counselor roared. Silence, human. You will not poison us. He raised his staff again, ready to strike. But this time the guards hesitated. Their weapons lowered. Their silver eyes looked uncertain. One by one they stepped back. The older counselor, Vera, rose from her throne. No, Darox, you are the poison. You feed on fear. But this human has shown us a path we lost long ago. The crowd cheered. Some wept openly. Lyra's small voice rose above them all. Please don't hurt him. He is my dad. He made my mama laugh again. That cry shattered the last wall. The guards dropped their weapons. Citizens stormed forward, forming a circle around Arik, Sora, and Lyra. They were no longer afraid. The lead counselor's face twisted in panic. He swung his staff wildly, blue energy flashing, but no one obeyed him. His voice roared, but his power was gone. The law of fear had broken. Vera stepped forward, her voice like thunder. Darox, your time is over. You would kill children to keep control. That is no leader. That is a tyrant, the people shouted as one. Down with him. Down with fear! Darox's staff flickered, its light dimming. For the first time, he looked small. He tried to speak, but the guards seized him. The people's will had turned against him. The chamber shook not with fear, but with freedom. Arik collapsed to his knees, his body failing after the pain he endured. Sora caught him, her arms trembling. No, stay with us, she whispered, tears streaking down her face. Lyra held his hand tightly. Don't leave me, please. You promised. Arik forced a weak smile. I won't. Not yet. The council, now led by Vera, turned to the people. Tonight we rewrite the law. Families will no longer be judged by numbers but by love. Strength is not fear, it is compassion. And we thank the human for reminding us, the hall roared with approval. For the first time in the colony's history, love was spoken as law. Later, when the chamber was quiet and the torches burned low, Arik rested in Sora's small home. His wounds were being treated by healers, Lyra sat beside him, refusing to let go of his hand. She whispered softly, "Does this mean you're really my dad now?" Arik looked at her silver eyes, full of trust and innocence. He had lost his own family long ago. He had wandered the stars searching for something he could never name. Now, in the smile of a little alien girl, he had found it. He brushed her hair gently. "Maybe not by blood, little one, but by heart? Yes, by heart I will always be your dad." Lyra's face glowed with joy. She hugged him tightly. Sora, watching from the doorway, smiled through her tears. For the first time in years, she felt hope. Outside, the colony buzzed with change. People laughed openly, something forbidden before. Children played in the streets without fear. The heavy silence that once hung over the city had lifted, replaced by a new energy, a human spark. The story of Arik spread quickly. They called him the father of the lonely ones, not because he claimed to be father to all, but because he showed that no one deserved to live without love. When Arik finally stood to leave, Sora and Lyra walked with him to the gates of the colony. "Will you go now?" Sora asked quietly. Arik looked at the stars above. "I must. There are other places that need hope too." Lyra clung to him. "But will you come back?" He knelt, hugging her tightly. "I will always come back. You are my family now. No law can take that away." She nodded, tears in her eyes but a smile on her face. "Then I'll wait for you, Dad." Arik rose and walked toward his ship. Behind him, the colony was alive with laughter, music, and voices no longer afraid. He had come here as a stranger, but he left as something greater. As the engines roared and the ship lifted into the stars, the people watched, their hearts forever changed. They had seen that strength was not fear, not silence, but the courage to love. And somewhere in the stars a traveler carried that gift to the next lonely world.